Hey, welcome to episode 6 of the Bad Batch podcast. I'm your co-host, Justin Samoy, and I'm also here with Drew Crispo.
What's going on?
And BJ Davis.
Sup?
So we have some Star Wars news and rumors we'd like to break down and discuss. Following that, we want to answer some questions from you, the listeners. So I don't think we're going to be spoiling anything this episode, but you have been warned. This is your spoiler warning.
Yeah, and you never know.
Yeah, you never know. We might say something that you haven't seen. So yeah, this is the warning. So to kick things off, I want to talk about an announcement that was actually made today by LucasFilm, their new gaming umbrella. It's called LucasFilm Games. They released a sizzle reel, and it has all of their current games that are out right now, like Battlefront 2, Fallen Order, Galaxy Heroes, and then all their like affiliates with Fortnite, Sims, which I didn't know was a thing, and then Minecraft. Didn't know that was a thing either.
Yeah, I didn't know.
So that was cool to hear that they're announcing more games, because I know they discontinued Battlefront's updates, and that's a game I play all the time. So I want to know what was in the future for it. So they didn't announce anything new other than the new games umbrella, Lucasfilm Games. But I did see this tweet from Matt Martin, who's part of Lucasfilm's storyboard group, and he's in charge of continuity among Star Wars. So that's kind of a cool job. He doesn't make any decisions, but he'll let people know if like, hey, you can't be writing about this for the writers. So he helps with continuity throughout the canon universe. And let me show you what his tweet said.
So he's a gatekeeper, if you will.
Yeah, he's a gatekeeper. So hopefully you guys can see this. And this is Matt Martin. It was tweeted on December 10th. It says, "It's crazy to think that even after all those Star Wars Disney Day and Disney Investor Day announcement, that's only a fraction of the overall Star Wars content coming." Because they have video games, which is the first thing mentioned, and then publishing, VR, Disney parks, and then the High Republic, which has already been released.
Mm-hmm.
So that was a cool thing to see. And I'm curious about the future for the games. Hopefully Battlefront 3 is coming, because Battlefront is, I think, my favorite game right now. Mm-hmm. And I'm wrapping up Fallen Order. I'm on the last mission.
Yeah, I mean, you got to think that Battlefield 3 is coming. I mean, how successful Battlefield 2 was.
Yeah, Battlefront 2 had a tough opening because of all the microtransactions, but that was like non-existent after like day 2. Mm-hmm. It's like a complete game with all from prequel era all the way to sequels. They haven't added anything for Mandalorian, but they stopped updating it in May 2020. So they discontinued it for a reason. And EA also has the license for all of Star Wars video games until 2023.
Yeah.
And with all the Star Wars stuff coming from the Investor Day that we saw with all their new shows and movies, I imagine that EA is not going to not make a game. And that's
I'm just
for today for Lucasfilm.
Oh, I was just wondering, they had like sequel stuff in it?
In Battlefront 2?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it was
you
cool.
Be like Kylo and Rey and all that stuff, right?
Yeah, Kylo, Rey, Finn. You could be BB-8 and then a BB-8 equivalent for the Empire or for the First Order.
Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm.
They weren't like the characters. But Kylo, if I could show you some of my clips, I'll show you, but we're not going to do that. And Han Solo is the best.
Another time on Twitch. You'll watch stream.
I haven't streamed it yet, but I will.
I'm just super pumped about Fallen Order 2. I mean, like we talked about like last week a little bit too, and like you were just saying you're playing it right now. If you haven't played that, 100% go for it. Couldn't suggest it more. And Battlefront, what am I saying? Fallen Order 2, just can't wait.
Yeah. So I haven't finished it yet, but I'm guessing Cal Kestis lives. And I did know that because we've talked about it before. But it is...
spoiler alert.
Yeah, there's a spoiler. But
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, he's a really cool Jedi. And then just the whole story and like traveling, you get to customize your lightsaber, do everything, all the Force abilities. He has the freeze ability that Kylo has, which is cool. So it's a good game. Yeah, it's the best story Star Wars game since The Force Unleashed.
Yeah, well, I mean, exciting stuff coming. I'm pumped.
Yeah, I mean, I play Battlefront every day, so I'm excited for any Star Wars game that comes.
Exactly. And we will, I'm sure, keep you updated, listeners, of whenever there's something dropped or released, you'll be hearing it every week and us talking about it nonstop probably. But so moving forward, something we want to talk a little bit about is if you guys weren't aware, there are a couple rumors about some certain stuff came out in the last week or so, and then just some other Star Wars related news that maybe you're wondering what's going on, and that's why you're here, and that's why we're here. So to kick it off, this was trending all over Twitter. Got a lot of news attention. Apparently, Robert Downey Jr. is in talks to play Thrawn. Now, this, like I've said multiple times in side conversations, when I heard that for the first time, not my pick.
Not a huge fan of that.
No, not someone that really grabbed my attention when I heard it. I mean, we've seen him do like British accents and stuff, and
yeah, if you don't know who Robert Downey Jr. is, he was in The Shaggy Dog, he was in Less Than Zero, and he was in Sherlock, and I think he was in a couple of Marvel movies. But
I've heard about that. Yeah,
all roles, yeah.
Yes. But yeah, no, I can't see. It's
also
going to be hard to see him.
Doolittle.
Yeah,
Dr. Doolittle. That's probably where you know him best from.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It's going to be hard to not see him as Iron Man, which is probably why he stopped being Iron Man, because he's like, I can't do this forever and I want to do other stuff. So
exactly. But I just don't know if his personality, like maybe not his personality because he's an actor, changes all the time. But I just don't know if his like aura, if you want to call it, or how his like vibe. Yeah. I don't know if that's Thrawn, man. And like having to do that accent, like I mean, he's done British accents and other stuff. Doolittle, at least from the trailers, didn't sound particularly amazing, but hey, who am I to say? But yeah, I mean, I don't know. Like we were talking about this earlier. There was a poster or someone created a graphic with Benedict Cumberbatch, Lars Mikkelsen, who voices him in the clone or in Rebels, and then who's the other one? Was it
Matt something? The dude who played Magneto.
Oh, Michael Fassbender.
Michael Fassbender. Yeah. I was like, is it Thomas? Whatever. No, yeah. I mean, my first pick would be Lars Mikkelsen. I think like the voice is there, 100%. Like you have it right there, and he looks like him. Like if you painted him blue and put in some red contacts, that's Thrawn.
Yeah, it's like exactly how they did Bo-Katan.
Yeah, there it is if you guys are watching on YouTube, which subscribe to our YouTube channel, The Bad Batch, now streaming on YouTube.
Yes, sir. Yeah, so this is Thrawn, if you don't know, he's the blue antagonist in Rebels. And he's he's a really good villain throughout that show.
And also, I mean, Benedict Cumberbatch looks dope as Thrawn. I think there are so many people calling for that, which just makes you be like, come on, just do it.
Yeah, I mean, I think Lars would be best just because he voiced him, and he does look like Thrawn. But then Benedict has my second pick. I do like Benedict Cumberbatch, and it's funny that him and Robert Downey Jr. they're both Sherlock, they're both in Marvel, and now they're both in talks for Thrawn, which is funny.
Now, I will say that I did see someone create a graphic for Robert Downey Jr.'s Thrawn. And, it didn't look as bad as what I had imagined inside of my own brain. But I don't know if the personality, that's the word I was thinking about earlier.
More voice, like his voice is like very distinct, and I'm not sure that would be the best way to go about. Yeah, there it is.
Yeah, okay.
For those of you looking at our YouTube,
killing it with the graphics. Yeah, I mean it's close, right? It's like it's not bad, but Thrawn doesn't really have like Robert Downey Jr. in most of his roles has an aspect of humor or like dry humor in a lot of what he does. Thrawn that's just not exactly a tone that you get from Thrawn, and that's in pretty much like all media, whether you're reading the books or you're watching him in Rebels. So I don't really know how you carry that forward. But I mean, I guess we'll see, right?
Who did Benedict Cumberbatch play in Star Trek? Remember he was the villain in one of the Star
played
Trek.
whoever the big villain is. I'm not a Star
Yeah,
Trek
I
guy.
forget who it is, but like that was serious the whole way through, which is makes me feel like Benedict Cumberbatch is just so good at anything that he's in. So
I think that would be a really good choice. But
yeah, I don't know how Lars is acting. I don't know if he's done anything like non-animated. I only know him from Rebels. So
yeah. And
yeah, I mean, like how Bo-Katan was, her voice actor was put on like Mandalorian. I feel like this would translate well too.
Yeah, I think so. I think that would be probably the best way to go about it. And something else that was in the news as well, like very much so connected to this, which also scared me a little bit. I know it might not scare you, Justin, because you're a fan of him, but the Rian Johnson trilogy that has been talked about for a while. I did not think it was going to happen. I thought that they were just going to tank that thing. But apparently people are saying that he is getting the Thrawn trilogy, which makes me a little bit nervous. Just because, like, here's the thing. I like Knives Out. I think he's good if he gets his own thing. I didn't think it went well over. Like, I mean, you can have your own opinions. You can say whatever you want about The Last Jedi. I just think that, like, when he's not able to control the entire thing and he's messing with things that people already know, people are already going to be on edge because of what it did during The Last Jedi. And when you're tackling someone like Thrawn, who not only is someone or people's favorite from Rebels and from the recent books, but he goes all the way back into Legends and is supposed to be this like amazing, badass, like crazy character that's like a fan favorite. I think Lucasfilm is really, really playing with fire here if they're going to actually go forward with this, just from like a public relations standpoint of like the fan base.
Yeah, they'll always fans will already go in like thinking,
Yeah.
I don't know if it's going to be great.
Yeah, you're going in with the glass half empty, and you're handing him. You're putting like forget like the fans and all that. Like you're putting him in a bad position. Like I don't know. I just think it's a rough situation in my opinion. But I would love to hear what you guys think about it.
I like Rian Johnson, but he didn't even direct Solo, and people were boycotting Solo because of how much people disliked The Last Jedi.
Yeah.
So I like Rian Johnson, and I think he would do a good job, but I think that it has a higher possibility of just. Actually, I'm sure it would do fine in the box office, but in terms of like critical reception, it might not do great.
Yeah. I mean, it's gonna make money regardless if it go. I mean, if we're allowed to go to movies. I mean, I guess we can, but
even if it's on Disney Plus, like
mass amount of people that end up going. I mean, it kind of sells itself to a certain point, but the perception is what you kind of worry about when you're doing this stuff.
So this trilogy, would it be like before the original trilogy or after or during?
I think what the speculation is this is the culmination of all four of those shows: the Mandalorian, Boba Fett, Rangers, and Ahsoka. I believe I heard that the going theory right now is that it's the cinematic culmination of all of those shows.
Oh wow! So it's going to be like Avengers and the Defenders like kind of meet up.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Cool.
And I've heard places like all over Twitter, like I've heard trilogy, I've heard movie, I've heard like I don't know obviously like what's going to happen, but it will be interesting to watch this go down because it's a dangerous road sometimes with this stuff with them.
Yeah, no, and like Star Wars community is very protective of all of anything Star Wars. So
yeah.
Well, I think you would do a good job. I think it might not be great for
the overall perception.
Yeah.
Something else that was in the news. I mean, this goes back to a little bit even like our speculation before the season finale of The Mandalorian. and then some stuff that apparently has surfaced. Now, some of this information I actually learned from a video from a big Star Wars YouTuber, Den of Nerds. So shout out Josh. Go check out his channel, his videos. He's makes super dope stuff. But he was talking about how one of his sources was telling him that apparently Mace Windu is apparently getting a series at a certain point, and also is going to be in season 3 of The Mandalorian. And people are thinking that they're going to confirm that he's the one that saved Grogu. Yeah.
Ooh.
Wow, interesting.
Yeah. So a little bit of theory, a little bit of we don't know, rumor mill stuff.
Yeah. Okay. So what I've seen about Mace Windu, I think it would be cool if he came back, but I know a lot of people are like, if they keep bringing people back from the dead, it's gonna like just kind of
yeah, there's no stakes because I'm in that group.
Yeah, and also like Mace Windu dying was like the biggest turning point for Anakin turning to Darth Vader.
Yeah.
So, yeah, so him dying kind of symbolized like Anakin dying and Darth Vader being one. Yeah. So I personally would be like, I don't care. I think that'd be cool, but I completely understand why people wouldn't want that.
Yeah, and I mean, it just opens yourself up for like you have to answer all these questions. Like people are gonna ask like, well, where was he in the originals, and where was he in this, and in Rebels, and all this stuff.
Oh
and
my gosh, I could give like 3 theories off the top of my head. I don't think. I honestly don't think that's the issue.
Oh, I mean, I'm sure, but it's going to be months of in between about people like ranting at Lucasfilm about that stuff.
Yeah, no, our guy Matt Martin.
Bad if you want to do theories and stuff. But.
Yeah, our guy Matt Martin from the storyboard team is probably freaking out if that was something that they had. Like, how are we going to answer all the Mace Windu questions?
Yeah.
Like, so I prefer that he would stay dead, but I'm also like
Justin hates Mace Windu and he actually just wants him dead.
He's like, I do like Mace Windu. He's very cool, and I'm easy to please too. So I wouldn't be mad if they brought him back. I love everything Star Wars. So like, I'm never. While things could be better, I won't hate it if he does come back.
Yeah, and Samuel L. Jackson wants to come back really bad, apparently. So we'll see.
Yeah, we'll see.
I can't see them doing like a prequel Mace Windu.
No, he's too old for that right now.
Yeah, so it would have had to be.
I mean, the age would line up. So I guess we'll see about that. But I guess in little more exciting news too, keeping with like some of the Marvel connections we were talking about earlier. If you're not aware, Kevin Feige, who's in charge of all the Marvel stuff, actually a couple months ago was it leaked that he got his own Star Wars movie. Now he's going to be, I believe, executive producing this. Don't believe he's directing this. But this guy's like a super Star Wars fan. This guy's like, from what I've heard, is just like maybe even more than Jon Favreau is like so on it. It's crazy.
I believe it, and his work with like continuity among all of Marvel.
Oh, unbelievable.
There's only like minor plot holes in any of those.
Yeah. So his movie apparently just got the writer for the Loki series, Michael Waldron. And I think we were talking about the other day that Loki got a second season even before the first. So good news, I think. Yeah.
Yeah, and the trailer looked crazy.
It looked crazy. It looks like Umbrella Academy.
Yeah.
But Marvel.
Yeah, I'm pumped for that. So I mean, hey, if that's any indication, sign me up.
I really feel like they did that too because I feel like a lot of what they're trying to do. This is Marvel, but like a lot of what Marvel's trying to do is like set with the Loki, Wanda, all that stuff. But anyways, Star Wars. Anyways.
But yeah, and then to close it, I think Justin, you actually had the final little bit of news.
Oh yeah, so some news I did see today that the Ahsoka show wasn't like planned to be the Rebels sequel, but with how successful Mandalorian is and just how well liked Ahsoka is, BJ, that the Ahsoka TV show will pretty much be a Rebels sequel.
Yeah, I mean that's
they're reusing some, like I guess they were in the works of making a Rebels sequel, but they're
yeah,
just
they
gonna
were.
take some of those story ideas and put it in her show. So hopefully we'll see.
That's great. I think we're gonna see everyone except a few
that'd be
people.
sweet.
Yeah, I mean that show, that Rebels sequel, which was going to be animated, I guess, that was out there. Like that, people were talking about that for like a while, like before Mandalorian season 2, that kind of thing. So that's super exciting. You know,
Yeah, I'm
that
super
they're
excited
just
for
gonna
them to
take the stories.
transition to live action. So
Yeah.
I think
Yeah.
it'll be cool.
I mean, yeah.
What's the big dude's name in Rebels?
Zeb.
I'm kind of, I don't know how he's gonna look.
Dude,
I think
he's
they've
gonna
done a
look
live action looking
cool.
Zeb before.
Really?
Right?
Yeah, they did it in Fallen Order. The what you call it?
Oh yeah. So it did look good.
Okay.
You know the funny thing about Zeb's, the Lasat, the species he is, that was the original character design for Chewbacca. That was Ralph McQuarrie's original sketch of Chewbacca. So they just took that and they just brought it back, which is
I like that. Wow.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, one second. I'm gonna pull up Jaro Tapal here.
Okay.
And he's the same species. He's the master to Cal Kestis.
Mm-hmm. I thought that was a cool part of that game, going back to the games a little bit, that they brought that in. So, well, like
Yeah,
I
the
was
game's
saying,
cool. You see
it's
Order 66 happen, and it's like, yeah, it's pretty.
That's wild.
Wow. So that means we're probably getting like Sabine, Hera, Ezra, obviously.
Yeah.
So I love Sabine, so I'd love to see her in live action. So this is what essentially they'd look like, or what it could look like.
Mm-hmm. I think it'd be sick if they brought him into live action. Yeah, I would be pumped. I mean, that whole, just the idea of bringing those storylines, which is leading down a very promising road if you're a fan of Ezra Bridger or
Rebels,
probably the Honor Rebels, or really any part of it. Like that's really exciting news. So hell yeah.
All right, yeah. So I think next we wanted to talk about the questions from the viewers and listeners.
Questions.
Yeah, so we appreciate everyone who asked a question, and I'm always surprised about how many people have questions to ask us regarding anything Star Wars. So thank you for asking the questions.
Definitely.
So what was the first question we have here?
So the first question was from Drew, different Drew, not me. And this question was, is The Last Jedi the greatest movie ever? Now, I will answer that question with a big old no, but you guys can answer it accordingly.
Yeah, but if you want the critics review, not the audience review, it got a 90% on Rotten Tomatoes, which is, I think, the highest of any Star Wars movie. So that's just critics. So I guess from like a filmmaking perspective, they liked it, but in terms of story
and was separate, yeah.
Well, yeah, I bet you if it was its own movie, it would be like, I mean, I liked it. I thought it was fun to watch, but like in terms of like Luke's character or Rey's abilities or the lack of Kylo's abilities, that it does fall probably at the end of everyone's list for Star Wars.
Yeah, what do you think, BJ?
Yeah, like thinking back, like Luke's whole character just kind of didn't really make sense, and that whole part, and Finn should have had a bigger role. Yeah,
dude, they screwed Finn.
Yeah,
Finn could have been
one of the many times they did. But yeah, I mean, we'll break that down, save a little bit for our sequels episode. Little spoiler for you guys, little tease for our sequels review coming up. So we'll be going very in depth. So get ready for that.
And so a question that was asked from Tyler Brody. Went to high school with him. He's a great kid. Great guy, I guess. We're all grown up now. But who do you think saved Grogu from the temple? And will we be seeing them in season 3? Well, we kind of tapped into that a little bit. So I guess I don't know if either of you think it is Mace Windu who does it. I
think it might be. I think they might do it.
If it's not Mace Windu, I feel like it was the Bad Batch.
I like that theory.
And I also feel like it was multiple people. Like he was passed around.
Yeah.
And that's why when he met Din Mando, like he was like, oh wow, I'm with him for a little longer than I usually am. So that's why he had a better connection with him than anyone else.
I like that theory. I kind of hope that happens, honestly.
Yeah, that does make sense. And I forgot where I saw this. It might have been New Rockstars, but they said that R2D2 could have been an option, but I don't know how you'd carry a baby. I mean, yeah, that's kind of cool.
Why not?
But honestly, I don't think it will be as big a deal. Like I'd like it to be, like kind of how Rey's parentage, we wanted to know about it, and it kind of was not important in The Last Jedi, which I'm not saying is a good thing, but I feel like they might kind of do that. Like whoever saved Grogu, they saved him, and like that's it. Case closed. So
cool.
That's what I think.
Yeah, definitely.
Okay, so next question. What order should I watch Star Wars and why? From a new viewer's point of view. And this one was by Maddie, Shelby, and Tim.
Yeah, I love that we got this question because the first time I saw it, I was like, I'm excited to do that. But then we got it 3 times, and I was like, all right, we're definitely
Shelby, Maddie, and Tim. They did not all ask together. These are all individual questions, and we just group them up together. And it honestly is an important question because what way do you watch Star Wars? And I mean, there's a lot of answers. We talked about this a little bit, but I don't know if any of you want to take the lead on it.
I would go. I have 2 ways. I have one way which I think you should probably just do it if you're getting into it, but then there's also like an alternate way, let's say, which I think might just be kind of a interesting way to do it. I think you just watch it in release order, and I guess I won't count really any of the shows in that. Like you should probably just get like the base down, possibly like do the originals, so 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3. And then actually, you know what? I would do the Clone Wars series before I did the sequels. And then a different way to do it, I think, would just be an interesting way if you'd have no idea what's going on. Check out Rogue One and then watch Episode 4 because they are about 15 minutes apart in timeline, and then just keep going because it gives you an interesting perspective on everything, and will leave you probably confused because I mean, Star Wars is such a pop culture thing that you know some things, but if you've never seen anything, I mean, just rip it that way and have some fun with it and look at it in a different point of view that most people would. So I guess that's my answer.
So that's the way I would watch it, is release order. And if you want to, the TV shows make it a little bit harder, but release order 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3. But if you want to do the TV shows, you could do, oh shoot, I don't know how you do this now. 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, then the Clone Wars, which is 66 hours of content. So that's why it's a little intimidating.
If you really want to dive in the deep end, go for it.
Yeah, it's a lot.
I mean, if you have time to binge watch and like you like cartoons, I guess.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I mean, the Clone Wars is amazing. And if you're like scared to watch the Clone Wars because it's animated, it was originally released on Cartoon Network. And if like, not that that means too much, but it's not like didn't start as a Disney show. So it's definitely more
dark stuff in there.
They tackle some like dark topics in it.
Yeah, it's a lot darker. That's why it got canceled from Cartoon Network.
Yeah. And then Disney repicked it up and they decided to keep the same tone, which is good because I mean, there's like, I remember watching it as a kid. I was like maybe 9 or 10. I was like, I can't believe this is on a kid's channel because there's like killing and they talk about slavery. They talk about, I mean, so much. It's good. It's good show. But that's release order. And then you could also watch it this way chronologically. The only problem with watching chronologically, spoiler alert, Darth Vader is Luke's father. So you don't get that huge spoiler. I'm sure most people know that.
I feel like everyone knows that already. So it's just kind of like watch how Darth Vader was made and then watch what he did and then watch what happened after.
So this is the release order here. You start with episode 1 and then you go into episode 2 and then you watch the 66 hours worth of Clone Wars, episode 3. And then you have Solo. Not necessarily needed, but I love Solo. We'll talk about that more later. And then Star Wars Rebels. Not sure how many hours this is, but it's a whole TV show.
4 seasons, right?
Yeah, a whole TV show.
It's not as long as the Clone Wars, but.
Mm-hmm. And then Rogue One, Episode 4, The Empire Strikes Back, Return of the Jedi, and then I'm not gonna watch Resistance. You don't have to watch it. It is geared toward, I think it's like TVY 7, so it's geared towards 7-year-olds. But if you want to watch it, like I wouldn't.
Yeah, I don't think it really, other than BB-8, it doesn't really connect. So
yeah. And then Force Awakens, Last Jedi. I guess this was made before Return or The Rise of Skywalker. Graphic.
Yeah, and then in between Return of the Jedi, did you say Mandalorian? In between 6 and 7. So wherever that X is, if you're watching on YouTube, you can just replace Resistance with Mandalorian, and that's probably the best way to to watch it.
Okay, so the way that I watch Star Wars, the first things I watched were the Family Guy parodies, which were hilarious, and I already had like some knowledge of Star Wars, so like they were funny enough. And then I watched the I think it was like episode 3, and then I watched the last ones. But anyways, I think if you want to like watch something funny that you kind of know, and then get into like the original trilogy, and then go to the sequels, and then then go to the prequels, and then watch the sequels. Also, watch Clone Wars and Rebels somewhere.
Yeah, please watch.
I mean,
Clone Wars is so good.
Yeah, I prefer the animated. I feel like you can do a lot more with animated. So if you
can definitely do more like crazy stuff for sure.
Yeah, you can definitely have like better like fight scenes and everything, because you're like not limited by real people.
That's good perspective.
Yeah, and then eventually watch The Mandalorian because it's great.
I happen to have the font on deck, so it's right here.
Wow.
Hell yeah.
You got that up quick.
Yeah, I mean, cool. You can't, or you can go wrong. So like, don't.
You can. You
just watch. You can go wrong.
Yeah, you can mess this up, but either watch it. If you're confused, just type in Star Wars release order or Star Wars chronological order.
You can ask us on our Instagram.
Yeah, you can message us and we'd be happy to help. And if you actually, I mean, I'm open to helping. If you do want to just skip the TV shows, we can give you rundowns of it.
And we'll
episodes too.
If you're interested in the future, maybe we'll do a little review for you guys, either Rebels or Clone Wars, and help you guys fast track it, because I know it can be a little bit of quite a thing to tackle, but you still want to know some of the stuff, so we might help you out. Who knows? All right, moving on to the next question. Now, does Mando poop? This is coming from Nick Hutchison. There has to be a bathroom on that ship. Oddly enough, this is
So what I know, the Mandalorians don't poop. It's like a part of their culture. You never see Sabine poop. You never see Boba Fett poop. I don't think Mando poops.
Well, how many?
That's why they're so angry all the time
in Star Wars. I think they just kind of cut those scenes out. I don't think you.
No, they don't.
They don't poop. No one poops. There's no buttholes in the Star Wars.
They're all like Ken dolls.
They reproduce asexually.
Yeah,
exactly.
Like budding.
I'm pretty sure there is a bathroom on the ship. I think where he Grogu is the bathroom.
They talked about it in the first episode of Mandalorian.
Okay,
cool. Which was oddly enough a big question that people did ask. So good question, Nick. Like where your head's at.
Okay, next. If Disney were to make a R-rated Vader piece, would you rather it be a series or a movie? And this one is by Billy Mac.
Billy.
I personally would rather have the series than a movie. I could sit through like 4 hours of a show than 4 hours of a movie, because it's broken up, and honestly, a series would give more content than a movie.
Yeah, I think. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, that's basically it. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that right now, just in general, for Star Wars as a property right now, I think the best place for it is on like streaming services. I think it is best to have a series. And nothing against movies or anything, but I think that just like Star Wars is just a thing that like we talk about every episode. There's so much to it. It's so in depth where you can really just like you can go so much into the story and you can lengthen that out. Like BJ, like you said, yeah, I'd rather watch a 4-hour series than a 4-hour movie because it like helps us with our attention spans, which is like we get an hour here, 30 minutes here, like, and it stretches it out where you're able to go really in depth on everything. So 100% I'm with you on the series.
What do you think about the rated R part of
I was
it?
just about to say that. I don't think it needs to be rated
yeah.
R.
I would love rated R
Like,
Vader
it would
stuff.
be cool.
Sign me up.
But I don't think it needs to be that way because
I'm
not a parent, so I don't know. And my parents let me watch rated R stuff when I was a kid because my parents were sick. But I mean, I don't know. Be with that, just because Star Wars is for everyone, not just for adults. So I think they would probably still keep it PG-13. But that doesn't mean it can't be any less dark. There just probably wouldn't be any blood or.
We like barely see any like blood or anything, and I've like really never noticed that. Like, I don't think it needs to be rated R.
Yeah, the only time I think I've noticed blood was the Boba Fett wrecking stormtroopers in Mandalorian. Wasn't there blood?
Yeah.
Well, also in episode 4, there when Obi-Wan cut off the guy's arm in the cantina, there was like blood all over the place.
I do remember that. Yeah. Yeah, but that's like far and in between. Like, I don't really need to hear Vader like say the F word, you know?
No, I mean, I don't think that. I think just in terms of like tone and like to show how brutal he was, I think it would be cool. I think it would give some like depth to the character more than he's already a deep character.
It would be cool as rated R, but I wouldn't be upset if it was PG-13.
Yeah.
And also, I think a series would be better than a film. So yeah, thanks for the question, Billy. And then the next question. Now, this one's for you, BJ.
What's everyone's favorite Lego sets for Star Wars? And this one is by Brandon Fryer. Listen, I personally don't have that many. I have a lot of Legos. I have a whole basement room full of Legos. It's called
It's true. It's insane.
But I don't have that many Lego sets. Like, I do have stormtroopers and everything, but like when I was younger, I got a few, but I never was really into Lego Star Wars until I'm older. But I haven't built Legos. How about you guys?
I guess off the rip, I would say the Death Star is really cool. But I mean, I don't have any Legos, so.
I had when I was younger. My favorite was there was a set from Episode 5 with Luke's X-wing and Yoda's hut on Dagobah. And I maybe it's just because I had it when I was young and nostalgia, but I think that thing was super dope.
When I was a kid, I did have Obi-Wan's cruiser, the little red cruiser, and I think I might have had the Slave One, Boba Fett's ship, or Jango Fett at the time ship, but that was a long time ago.
And as we know, Brandon is in the middle of constructing quite the Millennium Falcon. So if you guys are interested, we'll keep you updated on that progress, and we'll check in with him at some point.
Yeah, maybe sooner than later.
And next question, also geared toward me. Does BJ actually like Star Wars, or does he just like Ahsoka? This is also from Brandon Fryer. And my answer is Ahsoka has been in Star Wars since episode 2. She's the only one we've really seen like grow from a kid to an adult. She's been so like into all of Star Wars. Like, she's been in the background. I think that liking Ahsoka is one of the most Star Wars-y things that you can do, personally.
No, I agree that it is very Star Wars-y to like love Ahsoka, but to say that she's the only one who's grown up, we've seen
grown up and isn't dead.
I was about to say because Anakin, we saw him as a little kid.
We saw him grow up,
and then become a terrible human, and then not kill his son, and he's suddenly a hero again. But whatever. He's still my favorite. But yeah, no, it's Ahsoka's cool, and I'm glad that you like her, BJ.
Okay. We have the next question. Padme died from a little choking, but Anakin was fully burned and survived. Riddle me that. And that one is from my friend Madison. Yeah, I remember watching, what was it, episode 3, and Padme, they're like, she's completely fine. She's just given up the hope to live. I was like,
that's what it was. Yeah, that's why she technically died, because she lost the will to live, because Anakin, which was like her life was just completely corrupted, and it, like, which meant her life was like upside down.
Yeah,
It's a weird way to look at it, but
yeah. I think I sent you guys this. I saw it was a TikTok of an explanation like how Padme was actually supposed to try to slit Anakin's throat before all that happened, and then
that would have been sick. I've heard that before, and I just think it's like a missed opportunity. That could have been really cool and just added like, again, more depth to like another character.
Yeah, and I think if not that, she should have probably died in childbirth, because like the lost the will to live is kind of.
Yeah, they should have just said complications. Like that would have just been easier to.
But with Anakin, I mean, he does have the Force, and he's arguably the strongest.
He's basically like a Jedi Master or a Sith Lord. He's basically a Sith Lord, so of course he'll survive.
And Anakin's arguably the strongest Force user to ever exist, other than Luke, and then maybe Palpatine. But
and he was like on the verge of death. Like if no one got to him, he would have died.
Yeah, and he was about to die, but he's also like filled with hate, and like that's what the dark side users use. So he could probably channel it. I mean, Darth Maul.
Well, yeah, think about Darth Maul.
Yeah, he's cut in half and lived, and he's not the strongest.
And he latched onto the dark side to survive. So, like I know that's like kind of a lame in universe like explanation, but technically, I think that's what their like official canon goes by.
Yeah, I mean, like that Anakin part, I think like makes more sense than the Padme. Just
no, the Padme part is definitely kind of like but I think Anakin surviving makes sense.
Yeah.
And then so I guess this goes to our next question. This one comes from Eamon Finan. Why is Justin the Anakin to my Jar Jar? I mean, I think that just embodies both of us completely, other than the fact that I won't kill kids, but I'm like the strongest Force user in the galaxy, and then you're Jar Jar, kind of a dingus. So that makes sense.
Yeah,
it makes a lot of sense.
So Drew, you got the next question?
Yeah, so this one comes straight from Michael Jensen. He asks, are you expecting more Jedi/Sith content to come up sooner rather than later with or rather than expanded universe stuff? Now what I think he means by expanded universe stuff is like non-Jedi stuff, like pilots and all that kind of like Resistance and Rogue One type stuff. Yes and no. I think like, well, I mean, just looking at like everything that's released, like what they're doing right now is they're just releasing a little bit of something for everybody. Like you look at all these things that got released, right? Like you have like Rogue Squadrons, which is your pilot stuff. So yeah, I mean, unless they pull a Mandalorian, they stuff a little bit of Force stuff in there. You're probably not getting any in that. I mean,
but Acolyte is going to be about
Acolyte
the dark side.
Is going to be super cool. Yeah, that's all dark side and High Republic stuff.
And then if the Ahsoka show is like a Rebel sequel, you'll have Ezra and Ahsoka.
Yeah, so that'll be a big one. I don't know about Rangers. I don't think you're going to get a whole lot of Force stuff in that. And same goes for Book of Boba Fett. I just don't see that happening. But I mean, Acolyte and Ahsoka, and obviously Mandalorian, like you're gonna see a lot of that stuff. So there's a little bit of something everywhere.
Yeah, no, I think it's good that they're doing it that way though, because like I think you're indifferent about it, BJ, but I know some people where Rogue One is their favorite Star Wars because of how grounded it is and like not magical it is. It's just about a squadron of people getting planned to the Death Star. Spoiler.
So what actually I think what Mike is asking, like with expanded universe, I think he's like, are you expanding on like the Star Wars? Like, are we gonna have Jedi, Sith stuff that also has to do with what we already seen? I think like, so for example, would there be like a Sith show without having to do with anything with Palpatine or anything, or a Jedi show without having to do with like
Yoda?
anything we've already seen? Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, like we said, like the Acolyte definitely will most likely have not a whole lot to do connection wise with stuff because it's so far before.
How far before? Because
It's at the end of the High Republic, which I mean, I guess you can get Yoda in there, but
yeah, I feel Yoda's like what 900, and that he dies at 900, and like High Republic stuff.
Yeah, Yoda's definitely alive.
I mean, any way you cut it, I think you're gonna get some kind of connection to something everywhere in Star Wars because they need to sell it, kind of thing, where they need it to make sense.
Yeah, that's true. That makes sense because you want, but I just don't want it to be, I guess the focal point is like people that we've already seen before, because like Skywalkers are like kind of beat to death.
Yeah. I mean, that's why I'm excited to see like what this Kevin Feige thing is and a couple of things that aren't like necessarily flushed out in the content of what they're going to be. Because I mean, that could be a High Republic, that could be 6,000 years after Episode 9. And who knows? But yeah, I guess moving on to our final last question. This one comes from another question from Drew.
A different Drew.
Yes, a different.
Not Drew. From this Drew, or whoever he is in the video.
What do we think? Do we like Rogue One or Solo better? Personally, I will say more about Solo at a different date, but I like Rogue One as a movie a little bit more. But that is just me.
I watched Rogue One not at the best time because when I was watching it, I didn't really know what was happening.
Yeah.
So I was just kind of confused, but I will rewatch it and I will let you guys know how that turns out.
Mm-hmm.
Now that I have more Rogue One knowledge, but I really like Solo. Just watching it, I was like, I like that movie.
Yeah, so I really liked Rogue One. It was like really good when I first saw it, and there's like no Jedi in it except for spoiler alert, Darth Vader in it, who like literally destroys a whole bunch of people in one of the coolest hallway sequences, and it's like it shows how they got the Death Star plans, and it's a good movie. But I do really like Solo, and I liked it when I first saw it in 2018, but after I've rewatched it, I think twice. I think I said last week. And I mean, I love watching. I think it's so much fun. I thought Alden Ehrenreich is how you say his name.
Mm-hmm.
I thought he was awesome as Han Solo. And like, oh, I mean, look at that, so good. And Donald Glover was sweet as Lando.
That's a picture of you.
Oh, is that the Bulldogs?
Oh, is it a picture of me? Oh, wrong screen. Awkward. All right. Oops. I meant to share Han. Do you see him or no?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. Well, I thought we weren't seeing him. Oops. I'm not even gonna cut that out.
Going into that, next week we will be breaking down Solo, and we'll have a special guest on, Brandon Fryer.
Brandon Michael Fryer.
BMF.
Yeah. So that'll be exciting for you guys next week. Listen, if you've seen Solo, come and listen. If you haven't seen Solo, and then watch it.
I mean, it has Daenerys Targaryen. It has Childish Gambino. It has Maeve from Westworld.
Woody Harrelson. We got a whole cast of characters.
I didn't even realize that.
That is Maeve, yeah.
Yeah, and you get to see the Millennium Falcon in action and the 12 parsecs.
Yeah, so we'll definitely dive into that next week. But I guess after that concludes the questions. So great. Thanks for listening, everybody. Again, we like we say every week, really appreciate it. You can find us on Apple Podcasts and on Spotify. If you wouldn't mind going and giving us a rating and a comment, it really helps us out a lot. And in turn it'll help you out because then it'll be better and it's gonna really help everybody out. Some new show news for you guys. Every Tuesday, so the day after the audio podcast drops, we've started dropping our video podcast on our YouTube page. So if you want to see us nerd out and talk about Star Wars and just watch that for whatever reason, go for it.
Yeah.
And
so if you only have been listening for the video podcast, I do share the screen quite often and just show random things that we're talking about as we're talking about it. So you can get if you're like a visual learner, there you go. You get to see what we're talking about and hopefully with the species. Like if you don't know who Thrawn is, I was showing photos of Thrawn while we were talking about him.
Yeah, so you guys can go over there and make sure to subscribe to that and comment whatever the hell you want and like
what's
it.
the YouTube called again?
The YouTube?
What's our YouTube called? Is that what you asked?
Yep.
The Bad Batch podcast.
Bad Batch podcast.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so something going into where you can find us on the Bad Batch podcast on YouTube. We have a ton of really fun stuff planned in the future. We're thinking about probably bringing on a guest every other week. I think we discussed that. So keep in mind because you'll never know who's going to show up. And then the weeks in between that, we'll be breaking down other Star Wars news like today and then getting new questions from you guys. So continue to shoot those things in. Like we always say, you can message any of us. You can message the Bad Batch podcast on Instagram. Most times the day before on like a Sunday, we'll put up a questions poll on our story. So you can feel free to comment on that. And then individually, we throw them on our Instagram stories. So you can find me at Drew Crispell on Instagram and Twitter. And then you can shoot us a question individually.
Oh, sorry. You can find me at Justin.
Oh, you're good. Yeah.
Samoy, and then I don't know.
DJ's right in Instagram.
But I'm just a mystery.
Exactly. Well, with all that said, thanks everyone again. Let us know what you want to hear. So,
yeah, thank you.
Thanks, guys.
Peace.